If you're considering a new website, here are the 5 questions that you should ask before you begin. We're going to cover these 5 areas today: process, responsive design, metrics and CEO, maintenance and security, and cost. And stay till the end. We have a bonus 6th area for you. Sunny, so I'm going to ask, can you walk me through the typical phases of the website development process from initial concept to launch? Tell me about what I should expect to hear from somebody after I ask this question.
Absolutely. Thank you, Roberta. Hey, everyone. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this presentation. We want to make it conversational and give you a chance to ask a lot of questions. And we'll be available after the webinar if you continue to have questions as well. Um, so the order that you saw in the previous slide, it is it is not a numerical order. So you have to prioritize how you would like it. One thing I would encourage you is if you're meeting with an agency, um, don't try to go in with the number in mind at the forefront, because what that does is it creates bias on the rest of your meeting. So, cost is very important. We're going to be talking about it, but try to understand the process, right? Try to understand how they're meeting your needs and your goals. These are the few important things. So, in the process, um, for us here at Solus Media, this is our typical phase. So, it's messaging and branding, wireframing, design, and development. Now, let's break these down. The messaging and branding is the very first phase of a website. We all agree. We're all here because we know websites are important. That's why we're here to talk about it, right? So a good website has to take a lot of good strategy in the front end so that your final product is a high quality product, right? So in the messaging piece, here at Solus Media, we have what we call story brand guides. It's a storytelling framework that takes the 7 elements of any good story and helps you break down and be able to understand what your story is about. If you end up on a website where you don't quite get what they're offering, what they're doing, then you miss the point, right? So this is going to be a very important part. Now, the next thing is wireframing. Assuming that the messaging and branding piece is all done, we take the copy, put it into a wireframe. A wireframe is generally it's a tool to help you kind of visualize how the content flows, and it's not for design. It's mostly just for copy and functionality of the website. So we can make comments on here, and you and your agency can go back and forth on making changes to arrive at a very, very clear message. So this is one of our clients' wireframe, and this is what it looks like. Now from here, we move on to the design. Now that the wireframe is done, we go to the design phase where your designer puts in all the colors and the branding, the typography. It's a two-dimensional design at this point, meaning people can't interact with it until they come into the development part. The development is where the website starts to take shape, and you're able to scroll, you're able to go from page to page, you're able to read your blog. That is the development phase. Now, assuming all these 4 phases have been implemented properly, something like this is going to happen. Now, we have permission from CCSC to share the following screenshot. This is the screenshot of their website before we redid it. Um, it's not a bad website. When you enter and you're looking at the hero section, it's not quite clear as to what they do. So we went through the messaging phase and then the wireframing. And then when we arrived at the end, this is what their current website looks like. Now, to those of you that attended Henry's webinar last month, it was an amazing webinar. One of the things he talks about in that pyramid, in that tower, the messaging tower, is people buy transformation. So that message applies to you. If people don't see transformation, they don't connect as well. So take CCSC, for example, helping Houston families move forward. How? Through immediate basic needs relief and long-term workforce development. It's very clear what they do. And we love CCSC. They're actually on the webinar right now.
Thank you, Sunny. And if you remember that statistic at the beginning about one nonprofit that raised their online donations, online giving, and $60,000 from within 12 months of launching their new website, that was Christian Community Service Center. And it was just such a privilege to get to help them do that just by giving them a new website and going through this very detailed process. So very helpful. Okay, Sonder, let's talk about responsive design, which is the ability for your website to adapt to various devices across screen sizes. So I might ask, how do you ensure a consistent and user-friendly experience? Can you tell me about what I should be looking for here?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, we have to keep in mind, as you said, that the responsive design is the ability that a website have to adapt to different devices. Okay, so it's super interesting that right now most of the 60% of the global browsing is we are doing it via mobile. We're used to our phones for everything. So it's super important to make sure that our website is going to adapt to all of the devices that most of the people is going to work with. Okay, so it's very important for the team that is going to develop your website that have some type of methodologies like mobile first, which means that the website is going to be created from the smaller possible screen until the bigger super wide screens. Okay, why that's important? That's super important because we're going to make a very fluid development process in the design, in the structure of the website, that is going to make sure that it's going to look alike in different devices. Okay, sometimes the team will have to sacrifice per se to sacrifice a little bit more of work in trying to create different layouts for mobile and for browsers to be 100% sure that the task he's doing or the website is doing is going to be very fluid and is be optimal for all the different devices that we're going to work with. So that's why it's super important, the responsive design in our websites.
I love that you said, hey, it takes more work, but these are the questions that we should ask. Or even if we're trying to do our own website in-house, to start with the mobile device where most people are looking for it. That's huge. So helpful. Thank you, Sonder. Okay, Sunny, let's talk about metrics. Can you walk me through some of the questions I might need to ask here and what I should be looking for?
Yeah, before we get into all these questions, Roberta, uh, y'all, do y'all us a favor? If you're not tracking your website already, do it today. We can give you a hand with that if you need help. Um, if you do not track your website's traffic, then you cannot make an educated choice on how to address the layout issues and issues with the content flow. What I mean by that is one of the fun exercises we like to do here is look at the traffic. Obviously, most people come to the homepage first, and let's say from there they look at the about page. They want to see who's leading this organization, which instills confidence in the stakeholders, right? Um, and maybe from there they might go to the donate page or buy a product page. So this flow, what it informs you is, hey, people are going to the homepage and they're going to the leadership page and then they're buying the product. So maybe we should spend more time in developing the user experience, make it better on these pages. So tracking that information is going to be very helpful. So you can ask them these questions like, do you track website traffic? It's a very simple thing. Do you provide us reports? Well, now that we're tracking, I want to see what the traffic is like. So reporting is an important element. Um, and then in the initial phase, we talked about the messaging piece, remember? So do you perform SEO research before you start copywriting? Why is that important? Because the the SEO research phase actually helps you figure out what keywords I should use and what keywords I should stay away from. This is going to be very important because once the copywriter gets this data, they are going to incorporate all those keywords throughout the messaging and the wireframe, which will help you in the long run with SEO.
Thank you for breaking that down. I know SEO is something we hear a lot about, but not necessarily know exactly what it means. So what are people searching for? And are those the words that we're putting on our website? So I like how you mentioned it's so important to put that at the beginning. And that's why asking all those questions about their process from the very beginning is so crucial. And I liked what you said about the analytics. I love the saying, if you can measure it, you can manage it. And so I think so many people just expect to put their website up there. And they don't even look at it. They just look at how many donations am I getting or how many this. But if I'm not looking at, well, what are people looking at that do donate? Where are people falling off that don't to really help them leverage that? And yeah, and having reports to make it easy. So very helpful. Thank you, Sunny.
Yeah, SEO is it's a huge topic in and of itself. It's very overwhelming. Roberta, we may have to do a webinar just for SEO in the future sometime. But for the sake of this conversation, we're gonna move on to our next. Yeah,
We do have an old blog post on there about SEO. Maybe I'll throw it in our resources link if you're a little bit interested. We did a little more in-depth view of SEO. I can throw it in there when I send y'all the recording. That's a good idea, Sunny. So thank you. Okay, the fun part that's kind of scary, so we stay away from unless we think we know what we're talking about until it turns to bite us, Thunder. Tell me about maintenance and security. What are some questions I should ask, and what should I be looking for here other than I don't want my website to break?
Yeah, this is a very gray area because this is one of the things that concerns most of the clients. And it's super important because we don't want that when people go to our websites, see different things than our websites. It happens, right? A lot of things you have to keep in mind to ask to your team work is going to create the website is like, hey, what type of post-launch support do you provide? This is very important because we need that when we finish the website, we need to know what's going to happen after that, right? It's not going just to like the site is already done and that's it. It's not going to happen nothing else. No, there is going to happen a lot of things, and we need to know what's going to happen and how the team is going to handle that. Okay. The second question you should ask is, how do you handle websites, updates, and maintenance? That's super important because most of the time we need to make updates on the website for events and parties, change of the contents, whatever we need to. So we need to know how the team is going to handle that time, and we need to be 100% clear because some agencies, some agencies can say like, hey, we can give you some updates, but it's going to take you, I don't know, 1 week to get that task done. We need more urgency. We need to keep all that clear. Okay. Another thing you can ask is, what's your process for handling urgent issues or site downtime? This is very important because you have to know that your website it's not going to be 100% of the time online. That's not going to happen, never. Okay, but you have to be sure, 100% sure, that your website is going to be at least 99.95% of the time online. Okay, and you need to be very sure that that your team can guarantee you that because your website is your window through the world. Okay. Another question you can ask is, do you provide training for managing websites content? This is a very important thing because sometimes there are some things that you need to change on the website and they're not like big changes, and you might have the ability to update that. And you want to be sure if your team can develop a easy solution that you can handle to make all those small changes into the website, not a big change, okay? And the last question that you should ask is, can I edit my own website? That's very important because you have to keep in mind that it's your website. It's not their website, it's yours. So you have to know that you should have some type of power, right? Not going out from the logic part, right? Of you have to have some type of power of some content that you might change by yourself. Okay, so I think those 5 questions are very important to ask for your team when you are creating your website regarding to maintenance and security.
Yeah. So one of the things is, okay, two things. One is not everybody wants full access to the website, which in most cases is actually a good thing because if you don't know what you're doing, you can break it. So um, the second thing is here at Solus Media, when we build websites, what we do is in the initial phase, we sit down with the client and we talk about what are some of the technical features that you would like to see on the website. And what we do is we take that into consideration to build modules. What I mean by that is maybe like a team members module. Well, if I just give you one page and just slap some photos and text on it, it is not going to be easy to keep up with, especially with a huge turnover rate with staff. So what we do is we build a module where you can just go in, add the headshot, add the bio, and it will automatically appear on the front end neatly. So these are some of the things you need to be thinking about for future upkeep.
That's really helpful, Sunny. I know some of our clients that have come to us were like, hey, we can't make edits and we can't get a hold of the person who is. And it was just really hard. And so, knowing what works for your organization, if you want somebody to completely handle it, or if you want to take it on your own, I know we're very customer work with our clients. And one thing you mentioned about being able to add stuff as you go, I know we only picked 5 questions to add here plus a sixth, that is scaling. As my organization grows, what does that look like? Because another common problem, one of the most common ones that we have, why clients come to us is we are growing and our websites are just a mess because we just started slapping stuff on there and it gets lost and it's confusing. And so what does that look like as we grow to still keep a very clear, beautiful, user-friendly website? And so that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother webinar. But let's go on to cost. Again, I think we all want to start here, and sometimes we're scared of it. And so I might even say the investment, because we saw what a really good website did for one nonprofit and so many more if you look at our case studies. But what are some of the investment prices I should ask about and kind of expect to see as I'm shopping for websites?
I like that, Roberta. I like the word investment here because Sander was saying this earlier that your websites are like living organisms, right? They're not meant to be static. What I mean by that is you don't just build it and you're done. You have to build it, you have to look at your data, and then keep making adjustments as you keep growing. That is a successful website. Now, Roberta, are you gonna send the in the email with the link to the article?
On the cost?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We
I can.
mark
I
off.
can send those. It's a part one and part two. And then these are very high level overviews. Yes, I will add that to my list to include.
Perfect, perfect. So so basically what Roberta's gonna send you are 2 blog articles that are on our blog that talk about how a website is priced. Um, now here's a list of things. Not all of these might apply to you, but you'll have a more detailed list on the blog. Something to keep in mind is, Roberta, did we write this like what, a year or 2 years ago?
It's been some time, so the costs have changed for sure. But at
Yeah,
least it gives you a general range.
Yeah. This is a good idea here. Um, yeah, so you need to be thinking about does this agency charge you extra for like integrating with third-party softwares, right? Um, how is e-commerce functionality? So again, just look at this list and it should help you on the right questions to ask.
Yeah, and I love that. And don't be afraid to ask questions where the costs come. One of the reasons we are doing this webinar is not we want everybody to work with us. We are not the best fit for everybody, but we just want you to be well equipped with the right questions to ask so that later on you're not going, oh, I wish I would have. We have a lot of people say, I wish I would have, right? Because it's a lot more expensive to redo something later, plus all that you missed out on. One of the quick examples I'm going to share now that I put my email on cost that I get asked a lot is how much does a website cost? And it's like how much does a house cost in Houston? Well, it depends. Are you looking for a really small house in a not so good area? Are you looking for, like, there's so many factors, and not just the area, but the features of the house, the layout of the house, the quality, right? And that's just in a house that you're going to live in. A website's actually here to drive you revenue. And so it's just so many different features and it can vary so much. And so just ask and know exactly what you're getting.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, really good. Okay, our bonus section. Sunny, tell us about technology.
Yeah, technology is one of those things that it can be, there's just too many choices out there, and it can get very confusing. So we're not going to focus on technology for this webinar, but I believe in April, we're going to have Ted Krewell, who's going to be talking about not technology for tech stack for nonprofits. And I highly encourage you to attend that webinar. Some of the questions are, what technology should I use? Or how do you handle integrations with third-party softwares? Um, and that is an important question because you want to make your entire website's experience a seamless experience. What I mean by that is if you have too many platforms linking off to another tab, it can confuse people. So a seamless experience is where you stay within the website, you go through your checkout process, your donation process, and when you're done, you're still on your website. That is in my opinion, a peaceful experience and not as chaotic. Now, I'm just going to give you a few uh, players out there. WordPress has been around for a while. We use WordPress here, among other options as well. But WordPress has about 62.7% market share right now. Um, Wix, Shopify, Webflow, Squarespace, they all these are all great tools. At the end of the day, what I'm saying is the tool that you can afford, the tool that you can maintain is going to be the best tool for you. If there's a huge learning curve, you're out there making a difference in the world. You're not supposed to be bogged down with technical things. That is not your role. You're the executive director, you're the development director. You're supposed to go raise funds. So if you find yourself spending too much time within the technology, that to me is a failure. So make it easy on yourself. Um, and there's some giving platforms here as well that we mentioned. We don't work with all of them. We work with some of these, um, like QGive, Give Forms, GiveButter. These integrate into your website seamlessly. Um, and so the others, um, they do not specialize, or seamless integration is not their priority. Let me just put it that way. But at the end of the day, you have to make your job easier for yourself. So having a good tech stack for your CRM, for your donor management, for your volunteer management, these are going to be very important to make sure that you're spending your time in the right place. So that's it for technology.
That was so helpful. I love how you said, hey, you need what works for you. Actually, I was speaking to Ted the other day, and I'm really looking forward to what he has to present to us because so many people have all these different tools that all need to work together for the same goal. And if they're not, then how do we do that? It's kind of like our website. If it's not fitting our strategy of what we're trying to accomplish, we're like, oh, we just need a website up, then we're really not helping and we're hurting our impact or our business or, whatever it is that we do. So that was all so helpful. Thank you, Sunny and Sundare. We're going to open it up for live Q&A. If you haven't taken the survey, we'll take another minute to let you all finish completing those. And then Carrie is gonna do a drawing for us for our Amazon gift card winner. I think she had put the survey questions in the link for the survey in the site. Sunny, you've been in this industry a long time. Can you tell me anything on here that's another one of your most asked questions that people ask you when they hear that you develop websites?
Oof, that's a fun one. Um, it's varied. A lot of them ask me about what CMS we use, like what's the content management system, um, or maybe some of the personal questions like what do you enjoy about building websites? To which I say, so a website to me is the ultimate expression of your brand. And what I mean by that is you got your logo, you got your colors, you got your typography, you got your videos. All of those can live in this one central location. And it has the highest advantage for SEO purposes, right? You go to Google, you type in a keyword, where does it take you? It takes you to your website. Now, obviously, you got your social media as well, um, but that is one of the things I like about building websites.
That's really helpful. Sandare, you've been in this industry a long time. What would you say is one of the most important things you have learned along the way that is helpful for somebody who doesn't know a lot about websites?
Well, that's a very interesting question. But well, what I said um, is that, as Sonny said a couple of minutes ago, websites are living organisms, and websites are yours. Okay, so you have to know that it's very impressive how a small project can be a huge project, depending on how good you make a great website. So it's really nice to build stuff. I'm an engineer and I love to build stuff and also to stress stuff. But I love most to build stuff and create things. It's very awesome. And when the client gets a really nice product, a really nice website, a really nice project, is the way he's saying to the world, "Hey, I exist." So that's very huge.
Thank you for that. We are going to do our drawing winner, and then we'll ask a few more questions because we know it's 11:30. But if y'all had wanted to stay on for a few more questions, type those in that Q&A section. We have a gift card winner for completing the survey, and it is Nikki Hankins, the owner of No Dumb Blonde Accounting. So congratulations, Nikki. I'll be in touch and we will send you your Amazon gift card. Thank you for completing our survey. We'll stay on for a few more minutes. If you need to hop off, that's fine. But I know I had another question. We talked about website maintenance and security. Can you tell me what is your process at Solus Media if a website does get hacked, how you handle that?
Oh yeah. So in all transparency, we've had about one incident in all these years where a website got hacked. Um, and we were very proactive with it, and we were able to fix the issue and get the website back up and running within minutes. Um, so a few things. You need to have a good system in place to be able to interact with your agency. Um, Now, for us, we use a project management software where people come in and enter in the requests for changes. However, if a website is down, that is not a support request, a ticketing kind of situation. That's like pick up the phone and call right away kind of situation, because that should not happen. But we take daily backups, and we're maintaining. Sander and I work together to make sure all the software is up to date on a monthly basis, and we're keeping up with the change logs, the security patches, bug fixes. It's a lot of work.
I'm glad that you were honest about, does it really happen? One report I read, and then I was like, oh, this is in Geneva, but like 60% of nonprofits got hacked there. Granted, it was in another country, and or no, it's 41%, and 71%, I messed up the statistic, but didn't have any measures in place. So website security is very, very big, but as we know, we've seen with large organizations all over the world, like no matter how much it is, you have to have something in place just in case, because nothing is 100% proof. So that's really good. So one last question, unless let me see. Yes. Sunny, you talked about third-party integrations. Can you tell me a little bit more, Sundar, about what I would be looking for? Because I know one of the questions I get asked is, oh, I want my videos on my website. And then because these big companies do it, and actually, they're actually linked to YouTube or somewhere else with a third-party integration. So does that affect my cost? Does that affect how my website downloads? What should I be
Yeah,
looking for when I'm considering some integrations?
yeah, absolutely. The video question specifically, Roberta, the reason we try to use either from YouTube or Vimeo is that your server space is not taken up by the video, which also adds to your page speed times. So that's why it's better to embed a video from YouTube or Vimeo. Third-party integrations can get very expensive depending on your needs. Um, One thing I should mention is try to stay away from iframes as much as possible. They're a very ancient technology to embed content from another platform into your website, but iframes are not secure. Um, they work in some cases it's not a good experience. So we try to stay away from iframes as much as possible. Um, so the integration comes in where instead of using iframes, you're actually um, talking to the third-party software from your website in such a way that the end user, obviously, they don't know what's happening in the back end, but for them, the experience is very fluid and seamless. That's where the third-party integration is important.
All very helpful. Well, thank you again so much, Sunny, Sanjay. Thank you, all you participants, for coming. I will send out a few of those resources that we mentioned, and we'll have the recording for you available this week as well. And please connect with me on LinkedIn. I think I sent LinkedIn requests to most people who I could find. We would love to continue the conversation, whether you have a question about building your own website in-house, or if you need help building one, please reach out to us. We are here for you. We thank you for the impact that you are making. So have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys.